Now, when it comes to populating an Access database, you're not restricted to somebody sitting down and typing everything in. That would be just too painful. We can import our data from other sources. If we take the customer's empty database that's in your working folder, you'll find that it has 3 of the 4 tables we've been used to seeing: countries table, the sales table, and the yearly income table. But what it doesn't have is the customers table. What I'd like to do is actually import the whole customers table from a different Access database. When you import a table from another Access database, it brings in the whole database, whole structure, the same structure, and all of the data contained within it. So for us to import another table, we go to the External Data ribbon. There are some big buttons for common used items such as Access and Excel, and then some not so big buttons for text file, XML, and then more, which allows us to import data from a SharePoint list, data services, a HTML document, or even an Outlook folder. So let's revert to Access as the option we want to import from. One click. I then need to browse to tell it where the database is. So in your working file, we're going to import the customers table from the customers database. So I choose customers.accdb, open. I have 2 options here to import objects from the database, such as tables, queries, forms, reports, macros, and modules. I can import any of those items. We're not just looking at the ability to import tables full of data, or I can link to the data by creating a linked table. So this way, I'm not importing the data, I just link to it. And if there are any changes in the other copy of the database, I will see those changes. We're going to actually import the customer's data. Okay. So I have a choice of tables, queries, forms, reports, macros, and modules. Any objects within any of these groups can be imported. I'm only after the customers table, so that's the one I choose, and then OK. And then asked if I want to save that as an import option. Should I wish to then import it again, I already have it in the system. I actually don't, so I just click close, and I see the customers table arrives intact, full of my 18,000 records, and the same design structure. So I've imported the whole object in this case. Now the other alternative with an Access database, if I delete the customers table again, is not to import it, but to link to it. I follow the same route effectively: External Data, Access, browse to pick up the database, which is the customers one in your working files, open. This time I move the dot into link to the data source by creating a linked table. OK. Well, it's the customers one I want. OK. And notice the customers table appears, and when I open it, I can see all 18,000 records. But what I do see also is a little arrow pointing to it that says this is a linked table. And actually, when you hover, it even tells you what database that linked table actually is in. If I then try to look at the design of this table, I'm told that it's a linked table and I cannot change the design. However, I can still look at this design as it exists because I'm asked if I want to open it anyway. Yes, I see that the structure is exactly the same, but because it's a linked table, the table stays in the other database, and all I can do with it here is use it. So I can create queries on it, I can create forms on it, I can add data to it and take data away from it. But what I can't do is change the actual structure of this linked table. So that's a different option to physically importing the whole database table into your Access database. So with Access, we can import other objects from another Access database, or we can link to the tables, which will give us access to the data to be able to manipulate that data. The only thing we won't be able to do is change the structure of the table.